3 used to fill living rooms with laughter thanks to its lovable characters and hilarious misunderstandings, leaving its mark on viewers throughout the 1970 episodes and 1980 episodes. However, behind the glamour are heartbreaking tragedies, horrific accidents and deadly diseases that have claimed the lives of many beloved stars. Let's take a look at their heartbreaking stories and remember the legacy they left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's see. Suzanne Somers as Chrissy Snow. Born on October 16, 1946 in California, Suzanne Marie Somers became the face of American television in the late 1970s with her role as the charming and funny Chrissy Snow on Three's Company, from 1977 to 1981. Between the ages of 31 and 35, Suzanne captivated Americans with her radiant beauty and charming sense of humor. But behind that sweet smile hides a troubled past and a life full of painful twists and turns. Suzanne grew up in a poor working-class family with an alcoholic and abusive father. At 17, after he tore her prom dress and humiliated her, she retaliated by hitting him with a tennis racket, a pivotal moment that gave her strength and resilience. At the age of 19, she got married in a hurry due to an unplanned pregnancy and divorced soon after. Living in poverty, she was arrested for check fraud. In order to pay for the treatment of her injured son, she posed half-naked at the beginning of her career, and these photos were published by Playboy without her consent after she became a star. But the biggest shock happened in 1982, when Suzanne asked for the same salary as John Ritter in the series The Three. ABC refused and, in retaliation, reduced her role, ostracized her, and eventually fired her. Once one of television's brightest stars, Suzanne was eventually blacklisted. Years later, she admitted that the fight for income equality hindered her television career at the time. She made a strong comeback in the 1990s with the hit sitcom Step by Step, and later reinvented herself as an entrepreneur and health writer. However, her advocacy of alternative cancer treatment, particularly bioidentical hormone therapy, has drawn sharp criticism from the medical community. Suzanne, however, remained steadfast in her faith in holistic medicine, even though it may have hastened her tragic death. In 2000, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. After surgery and radiation therapy, she refused chemotherapy, which caused controversy. Although she lived another 23 years, the cancer returned in early 2023. She passed away peacefully at her home in Palm Springs on October 15, 2023, just one day before her 77th birthday. At the time of her death, Suzanne Somers was worth an estimated $100 million, reflecting her perseverance and ability to build her empire against all odds. John Ritter as Jack Tripper. Jonathan Southworth Ritter, born September 17, 1948, became famous among millions of American television viewers for his role as Jack Tripper in the sitcom Three's Company. He was just 28 when he played the role, from 1977 to 1984. An awkward but charming culinary student who constantly got himself into absurd situations while living with two roommates. His masterful comedic talent and natural charisma have made him a beloved icon of American television comedy. But outside the spotlight, Ritter's life was full of dark surprises. Since childhood, he struggled with a vision impairment called coloboma in his right eye, which seriously impaired his vision. However, he overcame all doubts and did not waver in his passion for acting. His path to success was not easy, and the price of fame was high. His marriage to his first wife, Nancy Morgan, collapsed after almost 20 years, and his demanding work schedule left him physically and mentally drained. On September 11th, 2003, during the filming of the movie 8 Simple Rules at the Walt Disney Studios, John suddenly collapsed due to severe chest pains. He was initially diagnosed with a heart attack. Doctors started treating him, but his health deteriorated rapidly. At 10:48 p.m., he died on the same day at the age of 54. The real cause of death was aortic dissection, a dangerous and often misdiagnosed condition that took his life just 6 days before his 55th birthday. Ritter's sudden death shocked Hollywood. His colleagues were deeply saddened. His longtime partner, Joyce DeWitt, described him as unforgettable and beloved. The last episodes he directed were dedicated to him, and the entire direction of 8 Simple Rules changed with his death. At the time of his death, John Ritter's net worth was estimated at $20 million, a testament to a career built on heart, humor, and an unwavering dedication to the craft. Don Knotts as Ralph Furley. Don Knotts, real name, Jesse Donald Knotts, was born on July 21, 1924 in Morgantown, West Virginia. At the age of 55, he joined the cast of the popular sitcom Three's Company, 1979-1984, playing the eccentric, confident, flamboyant, and self-proclaimed playboy and landowner Ralph Furley. This role brought him a new generation of fans after his legendary performance on The Andy Griffith Show in the 1960 Cecil. But behind his smiling face was a life marked by deep emotional scars and chronic illness. Born into poverty, Don grew up with a schizophrenic father who threatened his children with knives. He lived in constant fear, became a shy and withdrawn child. At the age of 13, his father dies, leaving Don with emotional problems that he carried for the rest of his life. Despite entertaining millions, Don Knotts suffered from severe anxiety and depression. This had a profound impact on his personal and professional relationships. His 2 marriages, to Catherine Metz and Laura Lee Shuckna, ended in divorce, mostly due to his mood swings and ongoing health problems. Although friends called him a playboy, Don never found lasting happiness in love. In his old days, he fought with lung cancer and chronic pneumonia. His vision deteriorated significantly due to macular degeneration, which led to almost complete blindness. Although he continued to work, primarily as a voice actor for animated films such as Chicken Little, 2005, and Air Buddies, 2006, Don gradually withdrew from public life. He passed away peacefully on February 24, 2006 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, at the age of 81. At the time of his death, Don Knotts' net worth was estimated at $20 million, accumulated over a 50-year career in television, film, and advertising. Audra Lindley as Helen Roper. Audra Lindley, born September 24, 1918 Chas in Los Angeles, became a television icon as Helen Roper, a spirited but frustrated wife on Three's Company, 1977-1979, and The Ropers. In this role, at the age of 59, she embodied a character that is both funny and profound. A woman trapped in a loveless marriage who laments her husband's indifference, while revealing a deep, rich, and emotional world behind her curly wig and the show's weary shrug. Lindley's career was not easy. She left the stage to raise 5 children, struggling to balance family life with her artistic ambitions. Her first husband, Hardy Ulm, died in 1970, leaving her a single mother with heavy responsibilities. Her second marriage, to actor James Whitmore, seemed like a fresh start, but ended in divorce in 1979. The same year she left the Ropers. 2 failed marriages and the burden of single motherhood cultivated resilience, accompanied by a quiet sadness. Her climax came late and was short-lived. Despite her Golden Globe nomination for her portrayal of Helen, Lindley mostly appeared in supporting roles, often playing single mothers or elderly women forgotten by time. These scenes reflected her reality as she quietly battled leukemia in the late 1970s. Despite her impaired health, she continued to work until the end. While preparing to film a new episode of the sitcom Sybil, she was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Hospital and never returned to the set. Audra Lindley died on October 16, 1997 at the age of 79. Her ashes were interred next to her parents at Woodlawn Cemetery in Santa Monica. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at $3 million, a modest amount that reflects a long career filled with acting roles, albeit not always with acclaim. Norman Fell as Stanley Roper. Norman Fell, born Norman Noah Feld on March 24, 1924 in Philadelphia, was 53 years old when he played Stanley Roper in the hit comedy Full House, 1979. He was a conservative and demanding landowner who shunned the affections of his wife Helen, but always charmed audiences with his scowling, dry, sarcastic voice and characteristic swaying gait. However, outside the spotlight, Norman Fell's life was filled with loneliness and pain. He had 3 marriages, none of which lasted. His first marriage, with Dolores Picus, ended after only 4 years. His next 2 marriages were short-lived, although he had 2 daughters with his second wife and adopted a son with the last. While Norman made millions laugh on screen, in real life he was quiet, reserved and distant from those closest to him, a void that fame could not fill. Years later, his health began to deteriorate. On Thanksgiving Day, 1998, Norman was so weak he couldn't get out of bed. After being hospitalized, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, a serious form of bone marrow cancer that was incurable for his age. In less than 3 weeks, his illness progressed rapidly, and he died on December 14, 1998, at the Country House Motion Picture and Television Hospital in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles. At the time of his death, Norman Fell's net worth was estimated at $5 million, reflecting a long and storied career that spanned from Ocean's 11 to The Bachelor and culminated in the Golden Globe-winning role of Lana Shields in Full House. Robert Mandan as James Bradford. Robert Mandan, born February 2, 1932, was 52 years old when he starred in Full House in 1984. He played James Bradford, a wealthy odd conservative father who disapproves of his daughter's relationship with Jack Tripper. Although the series lasted only 1 season, Mandan once again proved that an experienced actor can transform a secondary character into an unforgettable one. In reality, however, his life was a long, silent battle against an invisible enemy, cancer. Mandan hid his diagnosis for years, never revealing the exact type of cancer he had. He opted for low-key treatment, returning to occasional guest appearances on Star Trek, Days of Our Lives, and General Hospital. Friends and colleagues later reported that Mandan went through several periods of remission. He died in Los Angeles on April 29, 2018, at the age of 86. Mandan's personal life was characterized by exceptional piety. From 1963 until his death, he was married to psychotherapist Sherry Dixon. For more than half a century, they maintained a discreet and private marriage. But this privacy also meant that he lived and died in silence. After his death, his remains were cremated in a private ceremony. Although he never reached the pinnacle of stardom, Robert Mandan left behind a fortune estimated at $5 million, which came mostly from long-running television roles, such as the soap opera and touring national theaters. Peter Mark Richmond as Pastor Snow. Peter Mark Richmond, born Marvin Jack Richmond on April 16, 1927, is best known for his role as Pastor Luther Snow, Chrissy Snow's father, on the sitcom Three's Company. Appearing in the late 1970s, when Richmond was between 50 and 53, his pastoral persona offered a stark contrast between his strict morals and the freewheeling lifestyle of the younger generation, creating moments that were both funny and thought-provoking. Few people know that Peter, before he became one of the most recognizable figures of American television, with over 130 roles behind him, was a pharmacist. He started practicing his calling on his brother's advice after losing his father at the age of 16. But the spotlight took him in a different direction, from television appearances to Broadway and dozens of film appearances. Although he never reached the pinnacle of fame, he remained a steady figure for more than half a century, appearing in series such as Dynasty, Santa Barbara, Star Trek, The Next Generation, and countless other popular series. However, away from the limelight, Peter Mark Richmond lived a modest life, largely without scandal. In 1953, he married his only wife, actress Helen Landis, with whom he remained for the rest of his life. They had 5 children, including the famous conductor Lucas Richmond. In his later years, he gradually withdrew from public life, his health weakened by age and heart problems, although he maintained his composure, often writing screenplays and discussing art with close friends. Peter Mark Richmond died on January 14, 2021 in Woodland Hills, California, at the age of 93. His net worth is estimated at $1 million, a modest sum, but one that reflects the simple lifestyle he has chosen. Anne Wedgeworth, born January 21, 1934 in Texas, was a brilliant and charismatic actress who rose to fame playing Lana Shields, an elderly, widowed, and courageous woman in the television series Three's Company. Joining the cast in 1979 at the age of 45, she brought a new femininity to the film, confident, mature, and uncompromisingly emotional. However, the role caused a series of tensions behind the scenes. Off-screen, Wedgeworth's life was also tumultuous. Her first marriage, to actor Rip Torn, ended in divorce after 6 years and left her with a daughter. She later married director Ernie Martin and had another child, but her personal life remained private. Although she avoided scandal, the stress at work told a different story. Her role as Lana was abruptly written off after just 9 episodes, revealing a harsh reality. Even a Tony-winning actress can be written off without explanation. Wedgeworth later admitted that she quit because her character was becoming increasingly marginalized. Over time, her career focused on supporting roles as mothers, aunts, and older women, though she always gave depth to each of them. But a chronic illness, which she never publicly acknowledged, forced her to retire. She spent her last years in a nursing home in North Bergen, New Jersey, away from the spotlight and the public that once loved her. When she passed away in 2017 at the age of 83, Anne Wedgeworth left this world quietly. Anne Wedgeworth's net worth at the end of her life is estimated at just over $1 million, a testament to her illustrious but little-known career. Dick Sargent as Lloyd Cross, born Richard Stanford Cox on April 19, 1930 in California. Dick Sargent appeared in the television series Three's Company as Lloyd Cross at the age of 47. This little cameo still left a deep impression on him. However, viewers remember him most as the second Darren Stevens in the classic series Bewitched, where he replaced Dick York from 1969 to 1972. With his gentle smile and innate wit, He became a favorite person on American television in the 70s of the last century. But behind the scenes, Dick Sargent's life was filled with pain and loss. For more than 20 years, he lived with his long-term partner, whose name has never been revealed, until tragedy struck in 1979, when his partner died suddenly of a cerebral hemorrhage. The loss plunged Sargent into depression, although he kept his grief a secret and continued his career quietly supporting charities. In 1991, despite persistent societal prejudice, he publicly came out as gay, a bold move aimed at raising awareness among LGBTQIA+ youth that they are not alone. "I am a role model," he once said jokingly, but sincerely. In 1989, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Despite intensive treatment, the disease continued to spread silently. By the beginning of 1994, his health had deteriorated significantly. He died on July 8, 1994, at the age of 64. His remains were cremated, ending a journey that was only briefly seen by the public. His net worth at the time was estimated at $1 million, primarily due to his role in the series Falling for a Witch, other television appearances, and commercials. They remind us of the unforgettable legacy these stars left behind. Which film moments remain in your fondest memory, and which actors still hold a special place in your heart? Share your impressions and pay tribute to them by following them so you don't miss more exciting stories. Fran Ryan as Grace. Fran Ryan was born on November 29, 1916 in Los Angeles. She was 65 when she joined Three's Company in 1981 as Grace. Although she appeared in just one episode, Fran made a lasting impression with her natural charm, direct demeanor, and unfailing wit, which became hallmarks of her more than 50-year career. But behind this image of a fun-loving grandmother lies a series of heartbreaking tragedies that would touch anyone. In 1949, Fran married Walter Kenneth Wayne. 2 years later, pregnant with her first child, she received news of her husband's death in a plane crash. Overcoming the pain of raising her children alone, Fran tried to rebuild her life and remarried Howard Schaefer in January 1953. However, fate proved cruel. Howard died in a mysterious plane crash in Oregon a few months later. The wreckage was missing for 15 years, and when it was finally found, there was no body, only personal items such as a shoe, a few combs, and a pair of glasses. Despite these tragic losses, Fran Ryan continued her acting career, landing over 130 roles in television and film, from Gunsmoke, Days of Our Lives, and Green Acres, to voice roles in animated series such as Hong Kong Phooey. She has amassed a net worth of $1 million, mostly thanks to her decades of work in film and theater. Fran Ryan died on January 15, 2000 at the age of 83 from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Her ashes were interred next to her mother's casket at the family cemetery of the Holy Sepulchre in Hayward, California, in 2004. Don Porter, as Uncle Fremont to Tripper. Don Porter was born on September 24, 1912 in Miami, Oklahoma. Between 65 and 68, he appeared on Three's Company, playing Fremont Tripper, Jack Tripper's uncle, in a brief but memorable role. His dignified presence and deep, warm voice made a strong impression, even in one episode. But behind those refined performances was a peaceful life, full of ups and downs. Don lied about his age to join the Oklahoma National Guard at age 14, the first sign that his life would be full of challenges. During World War II, he did not carry a weapon, but served as a combat photographer, capturing moments of life and death on the front lines. After the war, He moved to the theater and then to television, appearing in more than 200 plays and dozens of television shows over nearly 50 years. His marriage to actress Peggy Converse lasted for decades, but it took its toll. His busy career often kept him away from home, and he later admitted that he sacrificed many things that were precious to me just to be in the spotlight. When Don turned 80, his health began to decline. He developed heart disease and suffered a series of mild heart attacks until he was finally unable to perform. He died on February 11, 1997 at his home in Beverly Hills, at the age of 84. The cause of death was determined to be heart disease and complications related to age. His net worth is estimated at $2 million, primarily thanks to his work on Broadway, television, and film. Irene Tedrow, called Martha Irene Tedrow, was born on August 3, 1907. She was 72 when she played Martha in the 1979 Three's Company episode, The Older Woman. Although it was a supporting role, she embodied a deeply human character, an older, serious, and experienced woman with a deeply hidden loneliness that reflected her own history. Irene's personal life was not easy. She married William Kent, a man who fled Nazi Germany in search of freedom in the United States. Although the marriage was not scandalous, it also attracted some public attention. They had 2 children, Roger and Enid, and Irene often had to put aside her personal happiness to pursue art. She really cared about being a mother and breadwinner in such a demanding industry, especially since she was known primarily for supporting roles. As she grew older, Irene began to feel professional fatigue. In 1989, she suffered a stroke, a cruel twist of fate that ended her acting career. She lived well for the next 6 years, dealing with the lingering effects of the stroke and the isolation that often comes with being overlooked by an industry that once cherished her. Despite the sacrifices and failures, Irene earned a place in the memory with countless supporting roles, from Dennis the Menace to Perry Mason, and is especially remembered for her role as grandmother Eleanor Roosevelt in the movie Eleanor and Franklin, for which she received an Emmy nomination at the age of 69. Her net worth is estimated at $1 million, a modest amount considering her long career of over 60 years. On March 10, 1995, Irene Tedrow passed away at the age of 87 due to complications from a stroke she had suffered years earlier. She left a legacy of moving performances that reflected the characters she portrayed: persistent, calm, and relentless.